Are you a real estate investor looking to find, renovate, and sell properties for a profit? And maybe often find it difficult to keep track of all the expenses that are going out on every single property, like your renovation costs, your carrying costs, your loan expenses, just to name a few. And sometimes maybe even by the end of the project, you don't even know if you made money or even lost money. Well, I want all of that to change for you today, so stay tuned. You're going to enjoy this video. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Empire Your Life. And on this very special episode, we are going to be discussing how you can keep better track of your expenses throughout the course of a project. That way you can increase your chances of making more money. But before we dive into that topic, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button below and become a part of this great community. We want you to be connected with us. And also, don't be shy about hitting that little bell so you can receive some notifications every time we post a new video. And we want you to be involved in the community. So leave a comment on this video and others, and please share this video with other people that you think it may help, or somebody may get some benefit out of the content or the videos that we're producing. Now don't worry, when it comes to keeping track of expenses, we have all been there, trust me. It is a very difficult thing to keep up with, and it's not really fun to keep up with either, because we want to talk about and think about the money that we're going to make, not the money that we're spending. But at the same time, we have to remember that the amount of money that we're spending is an investment in that property to in turn get a profit on the backside, because if we don't improve that property, unless it's maybe a wholesale type deal, you're not going to be able to build the equity in that property enough to be able to sell it and make a profit. And so that's why knowing your expenses that are going out on a project are so very important. And look, there's been times when I first started my real estate business where I didn't even want to look at the expenses. I didn't even want to think about the expenses, just because I thought if I didn't see them, if I didn't hear about them, they didn't exist. And somehow magically they would just disappear and would not be on my books by the end of the project, and I wouldn't have to worry about those expenses. Well, that could not be further from the truth, because if you don't have a great way or a good way of tracking your expenses that are going out on a project, you are 100% more likely to spend a lot more on that particular project, between paying for your contractors, materials, your carrying costs, everything that goes into that project. And so it is so important that we know exactly what we're spending on our projects. And it also helps us to make better decisions, because throughout the course of the project, you're also going to have change orders or maybe new design ideas that you want to put into place. But if you do not know where you are on your expenses, you cannot make a good decision based off not having the accurate information, or if you don't have any information at all. And so very important to have your expenses and know exactly where you are, and not just on a monthly or a 6-month basis, but you need to know on that project on a daily basis where you are as far as expenses, because ultimately those expenses are going to affect your profit in the end. And so you want to look at those expenses, know those expenses through and through, down to the penny as much as you possibly can. Now, in my case, when I was first starting my business, going through this time of trying to act like my expenses weren't even there, I eventually came to the hard truth that I need to track my expenses. I need to figure out a system, a plan, something to be able to know what I'm spending on these projects, so that way I can increase my overall profits, or even just make sure that I'm making a profit on the properties. And so one of my first big ideas, my big bright idea that I had, was to actually carry a manila folder around just like this one. And what I would do is I would actually keep these in my briefcase that I would carry around with me, or my backpack at the time. And with these particular manila folders, I would put the property address up here at the top, and then on the actual manila folder, every time I would slip in a receipt or an invoice, I would write that amount on the front or in a lot of cases, the back also of this manila folder, just to keep track of what expenses were going out. And I would have different columns for renovation costs, carrying costs, loan costs. If it was refunds, I had a little box on the side here that I would draw just to keep track of any returns or refunds. And this was sort of, my big bright idea of keeping up with all my expenses. If it went in the folder, then it got written on the top, and I was able to add throughout the course of the entire project and know where I was at. Now, after going through a lot of projects and having probably 20 or 30 of these in my bag at a time, you can imagine that was not the easiest system or the easiest way to do it. Also too, if you're out on a job site, a lot of times I didn't have my bag with me, and so I wouldn't have those numbers in front of me to be able to make those firm decisions like I should. And so even though this was a decent idea, it really got me start thinking in the right path of just the fact of needing to keep track of those expenses. And for me, this was an easy and basically a cheap way of keeping track of those expenses without having to get too involved in any kind of programming or having to do anything really, really crazy like that. And so this worked for me for quite a while, and it actually did have an improvement on my overall profits by keeping track of these expenses. And I noticed it just within the first 1 or 2 projects, how big of a difference it made. And so I started doing these for every single project, and I did this for years, keeping up with these manila folders, and this was the only way that I was keeping up with all of my expenses. And so this process actually worked well for quite a while, until things started going digital. So now people were sending more email receipts, email invoices, and it was creating an extra step because I would actually have to download those PDFs, print them, put them in the folder, write on the folder. And so the system that I had here, even though it worked well in the beginning with the paper receipts and invoices, as things over the last few years started going more digital, it really made this look like a very caveman system. And even though it was putting me in the right state of mind of knowing that I need to keep up with my expenses, it for sure wasn't the best way to do it anymore. With people sending invoices and receipts through email, I wasn't able to print these and actually put them in the folder. It just created a whole lot more work. And so I really got to the point where I was almost walking around with a bunch of empty manila folders with nothing in them, but I had a bunch of writing on the front of it. And so it just wasn't a very good system at all. And it got me thinking that there just has to be a better way. All right, so now that my manila folder idea was not working out so well, I needed to create something else. I needed to figure out a new solution to this problem to be able to track my expenses. And I came up with the idea of creating an Excel spreadsheet, thinking that that would be the easiest thing to do because I can access it on my computer. When I have digital invoices or receipts come in, I could easily log them on my computer and keep track. I didn't need to print anything. I didn't have to carry anything around. It just seemed like a whole lot better system. Also, I didn't want to just keep track of the invoices and receipts, but I want to be able to keep track of every single thing that was going out on that particular project. And when I say everything, I'm talking about all the carrying costs, all the loan costs, all the renovation costs, but on top of that, I also want to keep track of the draws that I'm giving to either my lead contractor or my draws to my subcontractors on a particular project, because really, even with my manila folder system back in the day, I wasn't really tracking the draws. And so when a contractor would ask for a draw, I would essentially just write them a check without really looking at what really was owed to them. I was just trusting their word on what they were asking for in a draw. And so I wanted a spreadsheet, something that I can reference as far as when I gave a contractor a draw payment, how much that was, what the check number was, maybe some notes on what that draw was given for, and also something to be able to see what the difference was. So after I paid them that draw, how much left did I have to pay that contractor? And that's a big plus to know because, as you're dealing with these different projects, you need to realize how much money you have left in the bank. And so if I have a spreadsheet, something showing me that, hey, you got to pay X amount still to this contractor before this project's all over and done with, I know to make sure and keep at least that amount in my account. That way I can pay that contractor either during the course or at the end of that project. And on top of keeping track of the draws, I also wanted to keep track of all my interest payments and loan payments to the lenders, whether it's a hard money company a private lender, or even just a local bank that may be funding your projects. I wanted to be able to have all that loan information in one nice, neat place. So I knew the loan number, who to contact, what the interest rate was, when a payment was made, how much was made, and altogether what was the total in interest that I paid on that particular loan, if you had a loan on that project. And so it was real important to me to be able to track all of this information. And so I spent lots of time, lots of effort, and lots of time on YouTube trying to figure out how to do an Excel spreadsheet. But I was able to come up with and develop a great tool. And so I call it my fix and flip expense tracker. And it is just an all-encompassing expense tracker that you can keep track of all the things that I just discussed, where it's your basic renovation costs, your carrying costs, your loan costs. You're able to put information about your loans on there. You're able to keep track of contractor draws. You're even able to add in other additional fees if you have a supervisor or if you have anything like that. It's places where you can put notes on different things, because we all know, especially if you're dealing with multiple projects, you're going to have a lot of different things going on every single project, and it's hard to keep track of, hey, why did I buy that, or why did I hire that contractor for something? Well, there's some note sections on this expense tracker that allow me to put in exactly what was going on at that time and a date, so I could remember and be able to reference that at a later time. So this new tool, the Fix and Flip Expense Tracker, was just such a lifesaver in my business, because now that I knew and was able to track these expenses, I saw my profits start to shoot up just on the first project when I started using it. And so it just was such a great tool, and it was definitely the missing link that I needed whenever I first started my business, because like I had said, back when I started my business in the beginning, I didn't even want to look at expenses. I didn't even want to know they were there. And so I really didn't even know if I was making money or even losing money. And then I went into my Manila folder system, where was a little bit better at tracking, but was sort of a caveman type system. Well, now stepping into the future and having the Fix and Flip Expense Tracker, it made everything so much easier. And I was able to track those expenses, make great decisions, and be able to make more money on every single project by doing that. And so I wish I could, go back in time and give my former self this expense tracker to be able to use on all those first projects that I did. I really think it would have made a huge difference. And so look, even though I can't go back in the future and change what I did, I do want to make a difference in any real estate investors that are just getting started right now, or even seasoned real estate investors that have been doing this for quite some time and maybe just find it a struggle to keep up with all these expenses. I want to offer you my personal Fix and Flip expense tracker that I created, that is specialized and personalized for real estate investors that are looking to find, renovate, and flip properties for a profit. And so I want to offer this to you. And so if you see, I'm going to put a link somewhere right about here, or you can go to codyhorn.com/store to purchase your very own Fix and Flip expense tracker. And so I hope you do, and I really think it's going to make a huge difference in your business. It is going to change everything once you're able to know what's coming in and what's going out on every single project. Now, let me go ahead and address what might be the elephant in the room, and that is there are some investors, and like a lot of other businesses, that use QuickBooks or other tools like that to keep track of all their expenses and their income and everything that's coming in and out in their business. And can you use this? Yes. Should you use QuickBooks? Yes. You should do that. But the thing to keep in mind is QuickBooks is designed for general businesses. It's not really designed for you as a real estate investor. And so when it comes down to logging different properties, different types of expenses, different draws to contractors, and all these different reports and things that you need to look at and information that you need to know, QuickBooks is not really set up for that. Now, QuickBooks can be made to be set up that way, but you need to have somebody that really knows QuickBooks really well, a very seasoned, experienced CPA or bookkeeper that can handle that for you. And a lot of times they have to do a lot of work to be able to set up the program to be able to do what you're looking for it to do. And so, the other thing too is with QuickBooks, even though it's a great program, and again, I recommend you should still use QuickBooks also, But the problem is even though you may have a bookkeeper that's able to set this up for you, once they set it up, most bookkeepers are only updating their QuickBooks on maybe a 4 to 6 week basis, if not longer. But with you, you're doing a project that's only maybe lasting 4 to 6 weeks. So it's more important to you. You need to know on a day-to-day basis exactly where you are on your expenses. And by having a traditional QuickBooks account or a QuickBooks file where a bookkeeper or somebody else is updating it every 30 days or so, that is not enough. It's not going to give you the information that you need, and you're missing the mark. And so what I recommend is that, yes, you still use QuickBooks, whether you do it yourself or you have a bookkeeper do it for you, because at the end of the year, that's going to make it easy to be able to pull reports as far as, for your taxes and things like that. But to be able to make decisions and increase profits in your business, you need a fix and flip expense tracker. And that way, every single day, you can update your tracker or have somebody on your team update the tracker, and you can make those good decisions based on good, updated information every single day. And the beautiful part is the fix and flip expense tracker is already completely set up for you as a real estate investor. And so all you need to do is purchase the tracker, download it to your computer, and you can instantly start making changes and start using it for your projects and everything in your business that you're doing. So I do want to share one of my ninja tips with you in regards to my fix and flip expense tracker. And if you want to take my tracker to the next level, I recommend that you use it with a program like, say, Dropbox, something that's a cloud-based software. You can download the spreadsheet, the fix and flip expense tracker, into the cloud-based software like Dropbox, and yourself and all of your team can have access to it. Now, what's great about this is the fact that you or your team members, whoever's taking care of your receipts, your invoices, keeping up with all that, can update the spreadsheet. And as they update it, it updates in real time to where everybody on your team, yourself included, can see the updated version. And it's also mobile friendly, so even if you're out on a job site and you have an expense or a draw or something that comes up, you can pull out your phone or your iPad and you can pull up the expense tracker and you can add it right on there. And so that way you don't forget about it and you have it on the tracker for the rest of your team to see. And so that is just a great ninja tip, and so I hope you take advantage of that. Well, I really hope you enjoy this great tool, and I hope it makes all the difference in your business. I really think that this is a great tool for you to use, and I hope you take this opportunity to go ahead and purchase your own fix and flip expense tracker today. And so very easy to purchase and download and to start using today. But if you have any questions or need any help, of course you can always reach out to me as well. But on the expense tracker, there's going to be a link to a very special video that's a tutorial of how to set up your expense tracker and basically answers any questions that you might have about this tracker itself. So thank you so much for watching today, and I just wish you the best in your business and in life, and just continue to go out there and build your empire. Thanks for watching another episode of Empire Your Life. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button below. We want you to be connected with our community and everything that we have going on here. And don't forget to leave a comment. We want to hear what you have to say about our videos and if there's anything that we can help you out with. Also, if you check out the videos to the side, they're exactly what you need to see next. So get out there and build your empire.